We've got breaking news. Can I ring the bell?
Ring the bell.
Is that allowed? I haven't rung it yet.
Ring a bell.
All right. The Toronto Argonauts are apparently hosting Willie Jefferson today. This according to TSN's Dave Naylor on Twitter. Hearing that free agent defensive end Willie Jefferson is visiting the Toronto Argonauts today and tomorrow. Buzz around the CFL all week has been that Toronto is going hard after the reigning CFL's most outstanding defensive player. So getting a tour, going to see the facility.
Well, he could sure help them.
Hey, he's going to meet with Ryan Dinwiddie, I'm sure, and the group in Toronno. So
he could sure help them.
We don't have a name for it. It's not Willie Watch, but Willie Watch is on.
Yeah,
we got to come up with a name for this. Are we owning Willie Watch? Okay, I don't know.
Will he be the highest paid lineman in the CFL?
He'll be the highest paid defensive player in the CFL. Will he not?
Yeah,
I think so.
You don't think so? Or you
No,
would
I
think
said
so?
I would think so.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
The highest paid player last year, of course, was Johnson, $250.
Yeah,
right here. But
so
it'll be interesting to see what Jefferson winds up doing.
Oh, critical.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That's a big loss for
Clark
Winnipeg,
just
right?
says Johnson and Willie Watch? Question?
Oh, God.
No, we're not going there. Well, we already are there. I don't know.
No.
Is Jeff Reinbold ready yet? We're going to have Jeff Reinbold ready soon for an update on from Super Bowl. Want to hear all about Super Bowl week in beautiful Miami. Looked like a blast. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun to catch up with Jeff. But we haven't had you guys on, especially you, John, since the Super Bowl. Did you watch it? You weren't at Ballers with us.
Sure did.
Where were you watching?
At home.
Okay.
I had Tom Shepard with me.
And? What did you and Tom think
I
of the
thought
game?
it was a great game. Terrific game. I really. So great bodies there, eh?
Yeah.
The Jets and the 49ers and the Chiefs and Lopez, eh? It was a great football game. I thought really good, very exciting. And I give the Kansas City Chiefs great credit for coming through in the back like that. 7 minutes and 15 seconds left, and they're down 10 points, and they come back in the Super Bowl, get the 2 touchdowns, go on and win. I mean, and the kid, the quarterback, is just fantastic.
He's unreal.
Yeah.
He really is.
Mahomes?
Yeah, Mahomes is just unreal. And they have speedy receivers, too, eh? That can just
they got weapons galore.
Oh, have they ever? They're going to be great for the years to come. I mean, he's only 24 years old.
Yeah.
Then I watched the parade yesterday, and that was interesting, too.
There was lots going on in the parade.
Oh, was there ever?
We had police getting involved. We had a guy running into the parking meter trying to catch a football.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
And people hanging in the trees all over the place.
Wild. Well, when it doesn't happen in 50 years, you got to hang loose a had bit. You got to let it out.
That's right.
Yeah. They know in Winnipeg what's going on.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
But that
they just did it.
Crowd went crazy yesterday. They had their parkas on and scarves. I couldn't get over the trees there. No leaves there. Looked like it was Winnipeg or Edmonton. It could have been.
Right?
Looking at that site, you know?
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Really great for that fan base. Again, 50 years since they've been to the Super Bowl, and we all love
Andy Reid.
Andy Reid and that story. And you would, Craig. I mean, being around football people your whole life as you have been.
Well, it kind of reminds me of Brendan. Brendan was at the Grey Cup so many times and lost, and then all of a sudden he won in 2013. It was the same type of thing. I was so happy for Brendan. Same with Andy Reid. Andy has, just unbelievable with regards to how many wins he's done, and he's had guys on his staff that have gone on to be head coaches. Just fantastic. It was just so happy. Kansas City, it's a great organization. They could have been there last year. Mm-hmm. They had 1 foot was over, and the interception, they were going. Yeah. And then, it's too bad.
But they're going to be spectacular, I think, that team for years.
Well, you know the deal. It's always hard to win. Yeah. And so many things can happen, like penalties and turnovers and all that kind of stuff. But, if you stay healthy, they got a shot.
Well, when we talked about that, I mean, you look at St. Louis, right? You say they're going to be there for years to come. You assumed that was going to be the case with the Rams again, that they'd be right back in the mix. Yeah. And all of a sudden, it's not. And, it makes me want to ask about Jimmy Garoppolo, who's not that young. No. He's not in the 24-year-old age group. No. But we talk about this with Jared Goff, young quarterbacks making it to Super Bowls. Patrick Mahomes, youngest MVP for a quarterback. Dan Marino made it pretty early, and then he never got back.
Never
got back.
So for Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers, what did you... I said it a lot in this program that he just never had instilled any confidence in me, and that's the reason why I picked the Chiefs too. I just didn't believe in Jimmy when it was down. I wasn't fearful that he was going to win the game. Now the team is good, and they got weapons in Kittle and in the Mostart and their defense. I mean, is out of this world. But do you have confidence that Jimmy Garoppolo can get the 49ers back?
No, I don't. I was really thought he played well towards the end of the season. Really well towards the end of the season. But I was really disappointed with the performance in that Super Bowl.
Before the game, I thought, that Jimmy could be the guy to do some things in the game that was going to help them win. And he did some things at the end, in the last 7 minutes that just didn't help him win.
No, sure didn't.
But, the deal. You live and learn, right? And, he definitely has some skills. He's won a lot of games, and, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
He learned a lot about quarterbacking, being behind Tom Brady for so long.
Well, absolutely. But I guess didn't quite learn how to get over the hump in the Super Bowl. But you got to learn that on your own. Clark, can we pull up Devin's comment? Just because he mentioned the Titans. Devin's watching. He says, "Good morning from Burns Lake, BC. Usually it's been a trend of beating the champs to be the Super Bowl champ, but the Titans felt like making a mess. Not sure what you mean by that. This year's game was a classic." Do you just mean that knocking off the Patriots, knocking off the Baltimore Ravens? I would assume that's what he means. That we made a mess of it, and you didn't have to knock off the champs to win the Super Bowl if you're Kansas City.
But how about that
this year?
How about that Titans run though? I mean, that's incredible what they did, knocking off those two fantastic teams. And and then they were up 10 on Kansas City. So I mean, that's a good future right there.
Well, that leads right into Jason's comment. Jason Bisick is watching, and he says, "Rumor is Brady to Vegas if he leaves the Patriots." And he says, "Do you guys think there's any way in the world he leaves New England?" Well, there's a handicap out. Vegas has put out the odds on where Tom Brady will go. I don't have them in front of me. Because I wasn't anticipating we'd get into this today. But Vegas is near the top of that list. John Gruden, that team's got some weapons.
John Gruden and Tom Brady together, will that work out?
They've got a young offensive line. You know what?
Oh, I think so.
You look at two of the guys who are probably the most dedicated to their craft. It's long been known what Tom Brady puts in, and it's often shown what John Gruden does, his 13, 14, 15-hour days.
Bob Ackles, who I worked with, he used to say about Gruden, he said, "I love that kid. He would be in there at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and he would get out of there at midnight, and how the hell do you do that? Some guys don't need sleep, but that's Gruden. That's the way Gruden was."
Now you hear the Patriots are prepared to pay Brady $30 million per year on a 3-year contract.
Yeah, but I'm a guy, you never say never.
No.
So I mean, there's certainly a possibility that he could go.
But why would you, though?
Wouldn't you want to stay?
Of course you would.
Wouldn't you want to stay in New England?
Six Super Bowls you win one more, and it's an all-time record. It would be the winningest team in the history of football.
Get a few weapons for him. And,
they needed receivers. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Okay, here are the odds for signing. This is who is this according to? The Carolina Panthers are 6-1 odds. Wow. Los Angeles Chargers are 6-1 odds. The Cleveland Browns at 11-2 odds. They put them at the top. I don't know that's. I had never seen Cleveland anywhere near the top of potential landing spots.
No.
The Raiders are up there at 6-1. They've got the Cowboys at 7-1 odds to sign them. I wouldn't put my money on Dallas. They're going to lock up Dak with a franchise tag.
Sure they are.
Yeah.
But the names that have come up to me: Indianapolis.
Oh, Indianapolis would love them.
Vegas, the Chargers, the LA Chargers. Carolina's on that list, but I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
They're going through a little bit of a organizational
How about Denver?
structure
Is Denver
change.
there?
Denver's at 12-1 odds. Chicago's even on the list at 16-1. Miami, but Tennessee was on that list as well. The Titans. They're not on the one in front of me, but they were 10-1 odds to sign him. It all depends what happens with Ryan Tannehill. Right?
Yeah.
It all comes down to Ryan Tannehill because he's done enough to prove that he deserves a little bit of a raise or a little bit of commitment from the Titans.
Played well down the road.
He played really well down the road, but he's a free agent too.
Yeah.
And if he commands too much money or too much term, then I can see maybe an opening for Brady, because as it was mentioned, and I saw this yesterday on a report, Tennessee's kind of building a New England of the South with their organizational culture. Now with Vrabel. Yeah. He's the first guy who's been able to leave that Belichick staff and really be able to build something.
Yeah, that's right. Be successful. That's right.
How old is Tannehill?
Tannehill, I believe, is 29.
Yeah, so he's still got.
He's either 29 or 30. I think
but the change in teams from Miami to Tennessee was unbelievable. What it did for him.
Yeah, big time.
Incredible.
But that's a big part of it. A lot of it is just situation, right? And getting in the right situation to be able to have success. Ryan Tannehill is 31.
31. Huh?
Okay, so he's 31. He'll be 32 in the summer.
Okay. So
he'll be 32 next season. So a little bit of time left.
They still would probably need to get well, what about Mariota? What do you figure about him?
Just can't do it anymore. I don't know. It's funny.
Do you think they should move on?
Definitely, don't you?
Marcus Mariota, for me, he's everything you want in the quarterback. I mean, he's a wonderful human. He's great in the community. He's gifted athletically. He's got all the tools. Yeah. But he hasn't been able to adapt. Doesn't sit in the pocket long enough. He rushes decisions a little bit too long. Yeah. And he's just been prone to a little bit of injury situation. He's been injury prone.
So they should move on. They should possibly draft a guy and keep him in behind.
I think if Ryan Tannehill comes back, then you're going to try and bring somebody young in, and I think you're done with Marcus Mariota. Yeah. I think if you bring in a guy like Tom Brady, if he's coming in for 2, 3, 4 years, probably not that long, but if he's coming in, I'm okay keeping Mariota around because he's still young. Yeah. And if he can learn a little bit about how to be a pro from a guy like Brady, then he just might be ready to get the reins back. Yeah. So I'd invest in Marcus Mariota if you had a guy like Tom Brady around to teach him. All right, let's shift back to the CFL for a moment. Ahead of Jeff Reinbold, who's going to join us. And before we go to break, all right, we'll go to a break before we go to Jeff Reinbold. We've got news. The Matt Nichols deal in Toronto is official. It's done. Matt Nichols has signed with the Toronto Argonauts, and Farhan Lalji at TSN has the deal at $350,000 in hard money, up to $560,000 with incentives. He made $450,000 with the Bombers last season. Clearly, he is being paid as an Argos starter. That, according to Farhan Lalji. So one thing's for sure, McLeod Bethel Thompson will be fired up to compete because he's going to want to compete for that starting job. Yeah.
But he had a pretty good year last year.
He did. McLeod Bethel All those 400-yard games that he had was fun to watch.
He's a confident young man.
All right.
That's what you want, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Confidence in the position, and Matt Nichols has his money in his home in Toronto, and maybe Willie Jefferson is next. We'll find out. We got more to come here on a Football Friday here from the Bunker on the Rod Pedersen Show. Watching on Facebook Live and listen live at rodpedersen.com.
You're watching Rod Pedersen on demand. For more of the Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.